So we're here at the Channel 3 garden out here in the patio, and everything's looking great. So to keep your garden looking great through this really hot summer heat, there's just 3 things that I'm focusing on. And that's 1, keeping your plants hydrated, keeping the garden weed-free, and deadheading to keep those blooms coming back. That's all we're gonna do right now, and your garden is gonna thank you.
These steps are important for your garden to stay looking great this summer season. And Julie is going to show us how we can do each of these tasks on our own.
Really important that on these really hot days that you keep your plants well hydrated, which means watering them sometimes twice a day if it's really hot and dry. So the best times of the day to water are early in the morning and in the evening. If things are still looking wilted, you want to give them a second drink. It's just that in the evening, if you have to water, you want to try to not get the foliage very wet. Try to just water the base of the plant because water on the leaves overnight can cause fungus to grow. It's also important to water deeply and less frequently. If you just do a light watering every day, it's not as good as doing a really thorough watering, maybe every 2 days. Of course, if your plants are wilting, give them that water.
Now it's time for step 2.
Sometimes weeding can really feel like a daunting task. The weeds grow so quickly and it can feel like impossible to keep up with. So my trick about keeping ahead of the weeds and keeping your head from going crazy is to just use 1 bucket. And I go through the garden with 1 bucket, and once that bucket's filled up with weeds, I say, all right, enough, I'll come back tomorrow. Sometimes a lot of soil comes up when I pull up a weed, and I want to keep that in the ground. So I just shake it off real good.
After the weeding is done, it is time for step 3.
Deadheading. If the flowers start to go to seed, they're going to think that they're all done and they don't have to flower anymore. Of course, we want flowers until frost comes. So we're going to keep on deadheading. And to do that, we just want to remove any of the spent blooms. So here's the hibiscus flower that's all done, starting to shrivel up. So I'm just going to follow this little petiole all the way back to the main stem and snip. So we'll go around doing that to any other blooms that are done. We'll snip off the flowers when they start to look pretty black. Another thing I like to do is shape the plants. So if they're kind of growing into each other and one is shadowing another, we can just trim it back a little bit. This one we'll just cut back to here. And that way, these 2 buds right here are going to come out, and it's going to be thicker and make more flowers and not overcrowd these heliotrope.
A snip now means more blooms later. Keep these 3 tips in mind and your plants will continue looking fabulous.
So it's July, and just remember the 3 things that you need to focus on in your garden right now are keeping your plants hydrated, keeping your garden weed-free, and keep up with the deadheading.